Hi, and welcome to The Check with Joseki Tech. Today joining us again are Lior and Amelia from Optimove. Hi, guys.
Hi, Adam. Hi, Amelia.
Hello.
You guys want to introduce yourselves real quick?
Yeah, I can get us started. So I'm Lior Grubert. I'm the senior team lead in the customer data engineering team. I've been with Optimove for about 5 years now.
Excellent.
And
Amelia?
then my name is Amelia Dahm, and I am a team lead in the customer data engineering org as well. So
Excellent.
Happy to be here, Adam. Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks for joining. And we've all worked on a shared enterprise client that's using Optimove as their multi-channel marketing hub. So as broadly as a product, all the data is loaded to Optimove about the customers and about their sales. And then there's a nightly process to load up the customer record. And then we use that to segment to send out the right offers to the right people at the right time. So it's a product we've seen a lot of success with. And today we want to talk about some little tricks we do on the data side to make things a little easier. So one of the first problems that we had is when we upload all of our customer data to Optimove, we make sure that our customer records are unique by email address, right? So when we're sending an email, which is our most common channel, we don't accidentally send to the same email twice. But we're also using this as a multi-channel hub. So we have SMSs with phone numbers. We have direct mails where we have, addresses. So these can duplicate across the data set. So we need some kind of a technique so that we don't double send the text, we don't double send the direct mails. So Amelia, you want to talk for a second about how we've been working that out?
Yeah, of course. So what we do within the Optimove product is essentially add what we call the ismain field. So it's going to be a field indicator, indicating which customer record, if there's 5 of them, if there's 10 of them, which one should be indicated as the main one. So talking about, SMS for a second, if we have duplicated phone numbers, we want to identify which one of those is the one we want to send a campaign to. We'll use, a multitude of different fields, understanding if they're a customer who's opted in, if they're a customer who is frequently making purchases in a variety of different fields, because we want to send the campaign to the correct account and being able to capture them in the future. So if we're sending a campaign to them, we want to still attribute all of their future purchases to the same account. I think it's worth noting here as well that we have ismain for SMS, but we can also do a multitude of ismain attributes. So we could have it for a specific brand. If we're working with a company that has quite a few different brands or subsidiaries, we can break down the ismain attribute per each brand or per each channel. So I know with the client that we work with, we have it by an SMS ismain, an email ismain, and I have, seen this across the board. I've worked with a lot of different clients that have come to me and have said, we don't know how to stitch this data, or we have always had issues with sending multiple emails to the same customer, but on our back end, we have them stored as 2 separate customers. What should we do with it? And really, the conception of the ismain, or the first time I have ever heard about it, was through the account we worked with. And this tip specifically is something that I've shared with a lot of different clients. And it seems very, very small on a technical side, but in terms of the impact, is very, very large. Like the solution here makes a huge impact.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of good luck with it. And I know we also have it, we use it a lot for direct mail as well, where we look at the address that we have on file and make sure the same sort of address, line 1, line 2, and zip code. If we see that more than once, we pick one of those records as the winner. And to some degree, the ismain which one doesn't matter, right? You're going to send that mail piece to the same physical address, one way or the other. But in this case, it might have a different first name. Is it, hello Adam or hello Adam's wife? The other side of it is for Optimove, when the sales record comes back and attributes the sale, it's going to attribute it to that customer record. So when we want to look at the readout on how our campaign performed, we want to make sure we're picking the record we think is the most likely to get the sale. So when we're doing these ismain operators, yeah, we definitely first check to see, is one of them capable of getting the message, but the other one's not. But then we kind of lean toward whoever's got the most recent sale tends to bubble up toward the top of the list. And it's worked pretty well for us, I will say. The super big caveat here is don't forget the ismain operator on your target group, because then you're going to send duplicates. Yep. So, you know, that's a mistake the first couple of years. Like the new guy made his mistake once and once only. So a good one around. Okay, so one of the other things that we use, and this doesn't involve the data team as much, but they're the random slices. These are super handy to use. Let's just look at these real quick in the tool. So there's a couple of fields we have, the random customer slice and the random customer percentage. Now these are, a slice is a decile, and this is assigned to your customer record when he's first created. And then he has the same slice for his whole lifetime. So it doesn't change from 1 week to the next, from one campaign to the next. Random percentage is the same idea, except it goes, not surprisingly, 1 to 100. Now, why are these interesting? Well, we do in a lot of cases hold out a control group for a given campaign, but that'll just let you know for that one instance how well that campaign did. Sometimes we need to do a long-term holdout, and we just finished a big analysis with that client. They have they're using the risk of churn feature within Optimove, and they wanted to see how well that was able to help them improve their sales. So we took the two slices, so the lower 20%, and we excluded them from all the risk of churn campaigns so that we could then look at how did that 20% perform over a 30-day period versus how did the people in the risk of churn campaigns perform. And we're able to get this broad view. And thankfully, you know, everything worked out nicely. We were able to see a nice lift there over the period of the month. And then we were also able to look into the sub-slices for the risk of churn to see how one worked better than the other. So that worked out really well. And that's a trick we use kind of all the time. Mm-hmm. So another problem that we run into, and, you know, that everyone's got this problem is, you know, some days data doesn't run. One of the tables fails, or, you know, there's something on the back end, so the data doesn't get to you. So, Lior, what's one of the tricks we use or to help alleviate that problem?
Yeah, so we in the data team in Optimove, it's something that we call a backrun, which is essentially an historical data update that happens daily. So it gives clients the option to send retroactive data within a specific time frame. And then after that, you can see it incorporated into the site, into some sections like activity history, purchase history, campaign analysis. And that happens, everything happens during the batch process. So let's say like Adam, you mentioned, there's a delay in the data or something happened along the way, and then the data from a specific day didn't get into that batch process on a single day. So Optimove has the capability to capture retroactive data within a predefined time frame. So we can define it as a 7-day, or we can define it as a 5-day or a 30-day, and we see a lot of our clients use that. And basically what it does, it just calculates retroactively the data. So it's kind of like on a rolling period. So if we define a 7-day period, every single day we're going to calculate 7-day back. So that allows kind of like, you know, to be like more tolerant towards data and towards some issues that our clients encounter.
Yeah, that's proven to be really useful. There's a lot of times when we calculate like the life cycle stage, it's based on the previous life cycle stage. So you really do have to make sure you're processing every day carefully. Exactly. And if you miss one, it can be a bit of a nightmare.
Exactly.
Cool. So there's another data tool that we'll share out real quick here. So one of the things that we use all the time is we use conditional language in our template, to, say if the customer is a rewards member, show them what their current number of points are. If they're not, show them a join link. And that you can build pretty easily based on, just do they have a rewards number or not? But what if you wanted to do something more complicated where, if their favorite store was one of these lists of 20, then they'll see, special treatment A, another list treatment B, another list treatment C, and then a default with D. So this can get too complicated to do inside of the template itself, because the conditional language we're able to do there is usually just pretty straightforward. But what we can do is create ourselves a new attribute to help. So over in the Data Studio, we can add a new attribute and we can make it a custom attribute. So treatment type. So we can do an if-else condition here based on the attributes kind of to our little heart's content. So if their address, is one of, these values, now we can do multiple conditions. So we can say if it's this and their age is, greater than 18, then they get, the adult variant, adult location A. And we can add the else conditions, repeat for other conditions, and add a default. So now we can get around a lot of the limitations we might have in the template by putting all the logic here into an attribute. This is published once we get it all done. It's available, the next day. You can add these without just all on your own as long as you have admin capabilities. So this has proven to be like really effective for us in a number of places. And one of the other things that's really good about it is usually the person on the team that's understanding this data may be very different than the guy building out the templates. So the template team just wants to have a nice simple condition. Okay, treatment A, I'll show this, treatment B, I'll show that. And all the logic behind that, they don't want to know. So then they can build out the template more straightforward way. Likewise, they can come back, and if we need to change that logic, we can do it on the data side and not have to deal with the template. So it's a good separation. It's worked pretty well for us in a number of cases. So our last trick we had was the ad hocs. So this is a process that we started, 5 years ago. And the idea is we'll have data in our database that we need to send, but we might only need to use it for like one campaign. So I don't want to create a new field. And you can go back and listen to our last podcast. Creating a new field is pretty easy, but it's still work for the data team. It's going to take a couple weeks to turn it around. So we do ad hocs. Can you, Lior, how have you found using those from your side?
Yeah, this has been super helpful for our clients and a relatively smooth process for us to implement. So basically, we get a specific data point or a table from our clients, and then we kind of like give a custom attribute or something ad hoc. We just add it, and then it will always be as an attribute on the site, and then our clients can just choose whatever goes there. The way it works on our side is that all we need to do is kind of like have a specific type to join it, specific field, to join it into the customer record. So it could be a rewards number, it could be email, it could be any other data point that will tie into the customer record. And then we can truncate all the data every day, and our clients can upload it every single day according to their business needs without the data team doing anything to accommodate that.
Yeah, so these are, and the way we're doing it now, just for those that are a little more, data minded, is in our Snowflake, we've got, a table and a view, and the table just has a campaign name, which is really so we can just track what's going on, an available date, which is when the data should start being available, and the launch date, which is when the campaign launches, which will be the last day you need the data. And we've got, I think, 6 different ad hocs. So we didn't want to do 6 tables. So we just did an ad hoc number 1 through 6, then priority, how important is this campaign versus another one, the email address, this is what we're joining the customer record to, and the value. So on any given day, for any given email address, We just want to show the highest priority ad hoc value for that ad hoc number. So we create a view that will then partition by the email and order by, the priority in the campaign, but only where the current date is between the available date and the launch date. So then we're sharing this out to Optimove, and they just merrily load all that data every day. And then for segmentation, the data team can just, work in Snowflake where they're living all the time. They just populate the table, and then they go and create a target group using, ad hoc attribute 1, where it's equal to a given value. So it works pretty smooth. We also use the same idea, except where it's not one ad hoc value, it's 10. And this we did for, we had a use case which was the annual membership status email, which needed a bunch of different inserts. And we didn't want to add to the customer record 10 fields for 1 send a year. So we said, okay, we'll just do this, populate a bunch of fields, and use it for that one time. And this has proven useful for, probably 3 or 4 campaigns that go out every month are using it one way or the other. But we do the same idea with the view and the same with the table and the view that's then looking over the values to take the best one.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a super, super useful trick. I know within Optimove, we put a lot of emphasis on the process running time, and we don't want to continually add attributes if they're only going to be used once. So I think in terms of a time to value, one, you get the data on the Optimove site very, very quickly, at your own pace when you want to do it, you can have it on the site. And then from a batch process running time, we're not going to have all of these additional unused fields on the site that were only relevant the one time. So I do find a lot of value in these from a lot of different aspects.
Yeah, the other thing that's useful is a lot of times when the business has a new idea that they're going to want to do, this gives us a way we can add the field immediately to market while we take the 2 or 3 weeks for the process. And as well, a lot of the campaigns and ideas don't work out and don't wind up being things that you wind up wanting to keep around. So as our last item, cleanup, right? We all got to worry about our cleanup. So Amelia, you want to talk us through real quick how we look for attributes that aren't being used and how we just sort of try to get rid of them?
Yeah, of course. I would be happy to. We've been referring to, the batch process. For the client that we work with, it runs at 2 a.m. and will run for about 6 hours until you can actually execute campaigns. And we want to make sure that that process is as smooth as possible and is as quick as possible, just so whatever, campaigns need to be sent out can be sent out on time. So there is some responsibility on the data side to ensure that our process is clean. So a lot of the times what we do is run an automated process that was built where we can understand on the back end what clients are using and what they're not using. So what attributes are being used in target groups today? What attributes haven't been used in 4 years? If it's not something that's being used, it shouldn't take time up during that batch process. It's only adding more to it. And I think from a user perspective as well, it's never helpful to have too much clutter on your site. When you're getting multiple marketers who are looking through hundreds of attributes, it's better to have only the ones are clean and are viable to use within the Optimove site.
Yeah, and the process that we go through, and we try to do this about once a quarter. So Amelia will come back with, here's some attributes that aren't being used. Then I'll go to the business team to double check if they're being used, if anyone remembers why we would be using them or not. Usually it was we thought it would be a good idea, but then it never came through, or someone doesn't work here anymore who thought it was a good idea, those kind of processes. And then our first trick is we have our customer service rep rename all those fields, do not use, that we're going to deprecate. Then we can pull them out of the process, so we save the processing time. And then when they're no longer referenced, we can actually remove them from the instance.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lior, we were able to see some real good improvements with our processing time through
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah, definitely. Throughout the entire time, I think it's been like 5 years now. We've gotten from, hours of hours to a short amount of time using those processes, making sure that our code is extra clean, being efficient with our queries, just to make sure that we indeed send the campaigns as soon as possible. And just so you know, we're dealing with a lot of different, data points, more than 500 attributes, 80 tables on a every single day. So that's a lot of data, a lot of customer records as well. So it's important, like Amelia mentioned, to make sure that everything stays as clean as possible.
Excellent. Well, I think we got a lot of good tips for people today. So thanks, Lior. Thanks, Amelia. And we will be in touch. We will have another podcast soon, I'm sure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.